in very shortly into game number 2 between these two players. We'll take you in now. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to game number 2 between LucifroN and DeMusliM. Spawning on the left side of the map, playing as the French in the color blue, it is LucifroN. On the opposite side of the map, Lidakor, who have we got over there?
It is DeMusliM playing as the red French as well. So French mirror is out here on high view. On the right side is DeMusliM. On the left is LucifroN. And let's look at the resources here to start off with, because this is one of the bigger questions in a French mirror. As you pointed out in this pre-game discussion, French is a very punishing mirror. So you fall behind once, it's very difficult to recover. So exposed resources can be punished very easily by the opponent, like that gold mine on the front for LucifroN.
Yeah, that's a really good point, but keep in mind that there are those resources towards the center of the map that we're going to be keeping an eye on. 2 boars spawning by 2 relics. Take a look at that. The boar and relics go 2 by 2. Hurrah, hurrah, they say. So they are going to be holding hands throughout this game. But I guess the question for me throughout this game is going to be how many villagers die, as Vodka appears to have died. Vodka, are you okay? What's going on, Vodka? There he is.
There he
is. We found him. But yeah, I think the big question for me is just really going to be, how much raiding do we actually see out here? Because that you can actually just win a game through raiding. So if you're able to, effectively make sure that your units are surviving throughout these fights, getting away, healing up, and then looking to come back in, then there is a high likelihood that you're going to be victorious here.
Yeah, it's going to come down to those first couple of nights microing against each other. You can pick off 1 or 2 villagers at the beginning. That's going to set you up with a slight advantage. You can turn that into a slightly larger army, and then you can continue to kill villagers. It's like a one big snowball that starts rolling the moment the first villager gets killed. I just want to give a quick shout out, by the way, to the admins, Lord Petito, working behind the scenes here, because look at this marvelous map script out here. These are seeded maps that we're seeing in this weekend, and just look at how balanced it is. The 2 forests, one on the northern and one on the southern side for each player, and the gold mines both in the front for the players. So really, it is a super balanced map script, as close to perfect as possible, I think.
Yeah, and I think for a French mirror as well, that's really going to attract quite a lot of action. If this was a Rus mirror on this map, you wouldn't, like this map script, you'd be like, gold mine at the front. Neither player is worried because neither player takes gold. Sorry, baby. This is a French mirror right here. And this is where gold gets really important. So we'll look to see how players play it. We've got LucifroN down towards the south, who's going to be tapping away at the landmark. 3 villages. Is earlier up than his opponent, DeMusliM. But DeMusliM, looking to get back into it, is tapping away with a few more villages up there. And the question is going to be, which player gets up to the second age first? Who looks to put on aggression sooner than their opponent?
Looks like we have 4 villagers in for DeMusliM on that landmark, only 3 for LucifroN, so DeMusliM seems to be rushing it a little more. On the other side, you do see LucifroN already dropping that lumber camp on his wood line. I didn't see a lumber camp being dropped just yet for DeMusliM, but he might be thinking about that as well pretty soon. Obviously, this is a matchup where the primary metric when it comes to military quality is going to be your knight numbers. So yeah, sure thing, you can start mixing in spears, you can start mixing in archers to counter the opponent's spears potentially, but it's all about those knight numbers, because that's going to be the unit that heals up, that's going to be the unit that kills the villagers when diving in, so it's all about that. You're going to see the villagers commit to food and gold mostly.
Yeah, and that's a really, really good point, that when it comes into a scenario like this, I just realized now, we've got a wheelbarrow coming through for LucifroN. He's looking to change things up. So a bit of a difference now with regard to the openings here. We've got ourselves a little bit of a different build order. But yeah, I think the big question for me is, are we going to be seeing spears added in? If so, when? Because that is a big difference between, because if you're adding spears, typically you want to avoid fighting. You don't want to fight when you're adding in spears, or at least you want to prolong fighting. You want to avoid it happening sooner, because in lower numbers your spearmen will get picked off. In higher numbers they will overwhelm. And so once you start getting up into those double-digit spear numbers, it begins harder to pick them off. But now we begin to see a scout just harassing the gold mine here from LucifroN, doing a little bit. Now keep in mind, players are now finally able to attack the villages of their opponents in the Dark Age with their scouts, because that bug has indeed been fixed. But our first night of the game is coming out. DeMusliM looking to clap some cheeks, and indeed he is not going to be able to do it. Actually, the scout turns around. Careful there, scout. You're playing a dangerous game.
Look at that scout micro out there for LucifroN, and it's all about damaging those villagers a tiny bit, because you're 100% sure that you can't kill those villagers with that scout. But for example, you just forced out a defensive tower from DeMusliM, and more importantly, you're damaging those villagers, making it easier for your knights to kill them. Because without a blacksmith, a knight would take 3 hits to kill a villager. You damage all of those vills just by 1 hit, and it's going to be down to 2 hits.
Well, this is interesting. There's actually a bug in Age of Empires 4. Technically, I don't know if it's a bug, but it is with the French knight. So the French knight, as you mentioned, they get this little attack bonus after they get a successful charge off. But it doesn't actually apply to the first hit if the unit doesn't move. If the unit starts running away from it, then it will actually do it. And I did testing on this with a friend of mine down here in Melbourne. And my mind was blown because I was of the exact same philosophy or the exact same position. But yeah, technically, if you are attacking a villager, if you micro it the knight just before the second hit comes in, then technically you can kill it in 2 hits. It's a small little thing, but we'll look to see if players pick up on that.
There's the barracks that we were talking about, and also LucifroN is mining a bit of a stone here. So LucifroN seems to realize that, okay, my opponent is playing very defensive over here. Defensive tower was out for DeMusliM. So what if I add my own spears and I play defensive as well? Think about the second town center. So you can see the approach here for LucifroN. He really thinks that DeMusliM is going to play very defensive gameplay in all of his games. And because of that, he's also going to play a very much eco-focused game out here, stone being mined. And you see LucifroN is going for a second town center, but DeMusliM is also thinking about that. The difference is that LucifroN knows that DeMusliM is going for it, whereas on the other side, I don't think that DeMusliM has spotted that stone being mined.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So now you can see that LucifroN going to be able to deny this out on the front here as well. DeMuslim's going to have to wait for more spears to come in. And speaking of spears, but now we do see DeMusliM is aware of the stone back in the base of his opponent. So 2 players, both here with almost mirrored spawns. And I got to say, I'm liking this map script a lot. You mentioned it earlier, Lidakor, the fact that we both had double front, or that both players had double front golds. Now we've also got double front stones. Very easy to scout out for their opponents, respectively, and they do spot it. And now we see DeMusliM moving a lot of villagers out to that stone mine. He is intent on getting that second town center up.
And you see that LucifroN was able to do a lot of delay over here. He started mining stone a little faster, those spearmen. Oh, they actually spot the scout over there. Oh no, they didn't see him. They're just like, okay, I'm just going to pass. That scout even swung his axe out there, but the spearmen just didn't seem to care. This being said...
Yeah. It's so funny, isn't it, watching them, the way that they swing the axe when they're on hold position. It's so cute.
Ooh, running into the spearman over here, that is not ideal at all. You're going to take a big beating on that knight out there. You're probably not going to lose it, but the concern for DeMusliM is that he already was hard-pressed with his defense over here, because he was denied of that stone for so long. You see the second town center is already up, as compared to DeMusliM, who is still in the process of gathering the stone for it. So LucifroN is going to be able to build up a fairly decent villager lead based on this, especially if he can get a kill or 2 here. He does get 1.
Yeah, very nice charge right there. Taking out the first villager, going to be able to even up, or rather build himself a little bit of a lead. But now, Knights in the base of DeMusliM. Once again, LucifroN doing a great job picking up more villagers. There's a 3 villager difference. We can see the villagers dead on the ground carrying their logs. Sad that they turned up to work today, it seems. But yeah, very nice double-pronged attack coming through from LucifroN there. So if there's one thing to learn from what just happened on that screen, if you can attack your enemy at 2 places at the same time, then your likelihood of success in those attacks improves significantly. And that's exactly what we saw right there from LucifroN.
Exactly. Because even though all of these players are pros, they can't pay attention to like 5 places at the same time. So if they look away for just a split second, you might be able to get a villager kill a lot easier than if you just attack from one direction. And you see, there is already a pretty substantial lead building up over here for LucifroN as he engages those spears and knights out there. You see, he's also going for a much larger spearman number now. So he's pretty much giving up on knight production, focusing on spears because he knows that he's got an eco lead. He already has a 7 villagers advantage. So he doesn't have to play very aggressive now. He doesn't have to necessarily go for a ton of knights anymore.
Yeah, it's a pretty big lead. Keep in mind, he's obviously got that town center up first. He's also taken out villages from his opponent, so he's got that nice little lead. It's going to give him that safe economic advantage throughout the game, enable him to take a little bit worse trades and still be ahead. But we'll look to see how DeMusliM tries to get back into the game, and once again, more villagers coming in. It looks like LucifroN's French definitely warming up after that first game. Second game, it looks to be on fire, though, doesn't it?
It is looking like it's on fire, really, because so far he's been putting up a clinic over here. Great control of those knights. He's been able to pick off villagers left and right. And where are those villagers heading? I think they're heading towards the boar. They have to be heading towards the border here because that's the only thing that's down to the south. Question mark?
DeMusliM. Is he going for the classic sprinkled emplacement play here? I mean, he's not yet in the castle age, but I suspect he will be. I guess he could be moving out, looking to do arrow slits. Is he going to be going a bit more aggressive? We do see upgrades now beginning to come through for him. So this could be a question, whether LucifroN looks to defend with +1 ranged attack and archers. Now in the middle of the map, the outpost going to be coming up, maybe just providing a little bit more line of sight.
Yeah.
Is that what we've got here?
Yeah, but is it worth it? I mean, that tower currently has no arrow slits. Arrow slits are coming in as we speak, but the spearmen are going to open up against that. That tower is going to be heavily damaged before the arrow slits even finish, and this might be the shortest lived tower in this set so far. It's going to be like 80% completion with the arrow slits. I think this tower is going to get taken down just before, or just after arrow slits finishes, rather.
Yeah, unfortunate timing there. Not really having the army to support this outpost until it gets... and we do actually see the arrow slits get cancelled there, so nice play from DeMusliM to realize it. But we definitely seem like in this second game that the shoe is now on the other foot. LucifroN just completely taking DeMusliM to school at this point in the game. And now continuing to move forward. A very nice little mass of spears here. Going to be able to defend against any potential attacks from any knights. And I got to say, I love the way that he's just got a handful of archers in here as well. Just enough to take out the spearmen. It's a very smart move.
Exactly, that is just enough to take on the spearmen. And you see, one of the problems that DeMusliM is facing with that second town center is that it is right next to the stealth forest. So it is going to be difficult for him to see the knights approaching, and he has been losing villagers left and right, and of course that second town center being up faster for LucifroN is also giving in an edge. It's already an 11 villagers lead, and the lead continues to grow with those knights charging in once again.
Yeah, one-shotting that villager there. The villager lead continues to build. 12 villager difference between these two players. The mass is looking better. I don't know how LucifroN is so far ahead, but it feels like he is miles ahead. These raids just doing damage. He does lose a knight on the backside, and more knights going to be coming out to chase him. He manages to rally his units towards the stealth forest, but just stops a few steps ahead of the stealth forest, and then unfortunately loses his units. So a very rare mistake coming out from LucifroN there, but now the archery range switch comes in, and we've got 4 archery rangers coming down right now. DeMusliM has cleaned up all of the cavalry right now. He's cleaned up the scouts, and he's just dropping 4 archery rangers. Is the man crazy? What is he up to right here, Lidakor?
Could be a mix of arballetry and archers, because he's also thinking about castle age, it seems, with those resources, although he just spent a bunch of food on something. I think he spotted those rams coming in and he was like, okay, I can't get up to castle age right now because I need to stop this push. First battering ram coming in here for LucifroN. He's going to play a very aggressive feudal age over here. Ram now heading towards that gold mine, and that gold mine is essentially the only gold mine that the Muslim can access, and the tower is going to be very short-lived at this space.
Yeah, but I feel like DeMusliM might not even care because he's got so many archery rangers down at this point. He's just going to be pumping out archers non-stop, and we can see them in queue at the moment. Plenty of units coming out in the base for DeMusliM, so he is really looking to go ham on the archer numbers. And I think he might realize that with +1, it's going to help him out a fair bit. But keep in mind, LucifroN, his opponent, has got +1 ranged armor compared to himself, who doesn't have it even coming in yet. So there's a big difference between these units.
Yeah, there's a big difference. It looks like we do have a scout from DeMusliM just checking out what exactly LucifroN is up to, because DeMusliM has been playing blind for some time now, and now he's actually in the danger of losing that town center. He can't really delay fighting that for a lot more.
Yeah, it's one of those things that seems to be coming. It's like, it's now or never right now. You need to push DeMusliM. DeMusliM now coming out of the gates. He's bringing out his archers from the main base. He's got some spears on the front line, but the main concern is going to be the battering ram. Now turning around his units towards that battering ram. Keep in mind, the longer those units are attacking the battering ram, the less they're attacking enemy units that they want to be taken out on the ground. The battering ram goes down. Spears looking to try and connect with the knights. Knights rounding around the corner now. Archers continuing to fire off on those spears, but the spear number's still looking very healthy for LucifroN. He's unsuccessful with regard to taking out that town center, and DeMusliM manages to hold on for another day.
Yeah, the Muslim holds on over here. He's in the pursuit, but the spearman reinforcements are also coming in here for LucifroN. He actually stuns some of that cavalry that's coming in, and now he's cleaning up so many knights. And he's also started adding his knights again. He sees the archer flood from the Muslim. This is the danger right now for Demu. He's got just pure feudal age archers, so all LucifroN needs to do to battle this is just mix in a couple of knights to his flood of spearmen and archers, and he's gonna be fine. The Muslim survives, but he hasn't gotten ahead by any means, and his opponent able to secure map control, turn that into extra resources. Farms being added though by LucifroN could slow down his push.
Yeah, this is a curious timing for farms to be added. There has been no raids on his side, and yet we see farms coming in. So whether he hasn't discovered the berries up towards his north, who knows exactly what the decision-making process is, but now villagers going to be evacuating the berries above DeMusliM's north. Once again, a single knight coming in to that villager line and causing havoc. Now reinforcements in the middle of the map, or rather just enforcements getting picked up. And now that knight going to be met by another knight, and it looks like DeMusliM is struggling to keep his head above water. He's down 17 villagers right now in this matchup. He's down a lot of population as well. It's not looking pretty for him.
Yeah, it's not looking pretty at all, and LucifroN is just playing a perfect resource denial game here as well. He has been pressuring that stone mine for a long time, he has been pressuring the gold mine for a long time, he has been continuously probing those outlying resources, probing the berries, probing the hunts, see if there are any villagers out there. He's constantly getting rewarded for these. Every once in a while, he's able to pick up 1 or 2 villagers, and this is something that's going to just help further that lead that he already has. Now it's almost a 20 villager gap we're talking about.
Yeah, we can see that behind this as well, LucifroN is continuing to build up his economy. So now looking to get that double broad axe, and we can see it's already in for DeMusliM. But it's going to look to intensify now. And we can see that the farms are looking damn beautiful. I love the French farms, the way that wheat looks. But now back in the base of DeMusliM, LucifroN is now looking to strike once again, causing some idle time. He's actually got plenty of food resources up there towards the north. I think is that a deer patch as well as berries? He's a very happy camper up there.
Yeah, I think so. That seemed like it was just a diversion though, because you do see that the ram is now pushing in towards that town center. Quite a lot of archers on the battlefield though here for DeMusliM. I don't think this is a fight that LucifroN can take. 23 archers versus 28. This is definitely not a fight here for LucifroN. He's gonna have to call off his forces on this one.
Yeah, and we can see that archer mass now finally coming through strong. Remember, there was a short time ago, DeMusliM added in 4 archery rangers at the exact same time, and now we actually see the fruits of that labor. Finally, the archer mass has managed to make its way onto the field. It's begun to move up, and we can see LucifroN continuing to add in more farms. Could this be the timing that DeMusliM needs to get back into this game? We can see he's down by about 30 population at the moment, and it's going to only continue to build with that villager lead, continuing to climb. LucifroN up by about 25 villagers right now. So despite not taking out that second town, that is an interesting farm. That is a farm, and I like that it's half built as well. Like LucifroN obviously realized, hold on a minute, that's not where I want to be putting it. But now the farm goes down, and DeMusliM looks to continue applying pressure towards the front. A big mass begins to build up for LucifroN. LucifroN looking to come in and clinch these archer masses. A lot of spears on the front line here, looking to try and get in the mix as well. But at the same time, the knight's going to be doing damage. He's looking to screen and try and prevent the damage from coming through, continuing to move back towards his base. And once again, we begin to see the beautiful archer micro coming out from DeMusliM. He is looking incredible today.
Yeah, he was able to pull back all of his forces out there. But for LucifroN, he realized that his opponent doesn't have a single spearman in that group, so he started pursuing with the knights. I assume that he wanted to place an outpost, by the way, in that stealth forest instead of a farm, but probably just had the wrong hotkey. But what's more important is that now his farm transition is essentially complete, and he's going to be heading towards Castle Age. I feel like the window here for DeMusliM is closing, because his opponent has completed farm transition, and look at that. LucifroN knows very well that, okay, DeMusliM needs to do a ton of damage really soon to have any chance of coming back into this one. That's like at least 300, 400 wood committed to all those walls.
Yeah, there's a lot of wood being committed into these walls right now, but it makes a lot of sense. There's only really one way for DeMusliM to get back into this game, and it is by doing, the classic beastie cutie thing. One knight here, 1 man-at-arms here, 1 palace guard there, 2 Chokunu over there, 1 archer over there. It's just units everywhere. So how does he stop that from happening? He doesn't even give DeMusliM a chance to get back into the game. He says, I'm going to stop that before it even happens, and a very smart move. But now we begin to see a boar being taken. A villager went down as well, that poor little villager. Oh, Sally, it was so nice knowing a girl, but unfortunately losing her life.
Did we see a villager going down? I still count 8.
Maybe Sally stays alive. I'm not sure. I swear I saw a villager just take a hit to the face. I'm gonna need to see the replay on that one, Lidakor. But we'll call it fair for now. But no, my lord, look in the middle of the map. Reinforcements. This is not good, Lidakor.
It's not good at all. The concern right now for DeMusliM is that he's got 6 spearmen, and on the other side there was like 2 or 3 stables being added. Only 3 knights though right now on the battlefield though for LucifroN, so if there is ever a chance to fight this one for DeMusliM, it is right now. He's flooding in with the knights on the right side. That's going to be a perfect diversion, picking up so many villagers out here. That's a great start for what has to be essentially an all-in right now.
Yeah, I think you might be right. I think DeMusliM senses that there is blood in the water, and it is not the blood of his enemy. And so he knows that he needs to try and get back above that surface. He's trying his hardest. You can see the Archer mass really coming out in strength today. But keep in mind behind this, LucifroN in Castle Age, he doesn't have a lot of options with regard to siege. Typically in this situation, you'd think a Mangonel would be able to settle this battle, but unfortunately it's not going to be the case. And now the Archers are going to be firing off towards those spearmen. A lot of spearmen out here in the open, potentially going to get picked up. You can see the battering rams moving forward for DeMusliM. I'm starting to get worried for LucifroN. DeMusliM might have found his timing here, but we see the veteran Archers coming through. Knights looking to squeeze out a little bit more damage as well. Going to be able to do it. We can see all the spears getting picked off here. Lidakor, how is this game going to end? Is DeMusliM going to be able to overcome his enemy here? That is the question. Are the spears going to be able to take out those Knights?
It doesn't seem like this is going to be enough here for DeMusliM. The Knight numbers are slowly being decimated, and we do have veteran archers out here for LucifroN, so he will take an archer versus archer fight and just run with it. He's got the Knights as well, taking down most of those archers. He's going to take a beating, but DeMusliM has to commit everything he has for this one, and you see that the trickle of reinforcements is just slowly disappearing here from DeMusliM side. I think this is going to be a cleanup here for LucifroN, and he's going to be in Castle Age with 30 villagers advantage. I don't see a way back here for DeMusliM, or at least not in the next 10 minutes. And indeed, he's going to tap out. LucifroN evens it out.
Indeed, indeed. Good game gets called. LucifroN evens it up. His French is now online, boys. Welcome to LucifroN's. I mean, his French was just looking really good that game. He was out microing, out multitasking. There was a good little spot in there where DeMusliM had some great shoot and scoot micro. But I think just from the beginning of the game, LucifroN's plan was executed absolutely immaculately. The fact that he got the second town center up before his enemy, the constant raids coming in. We can see the damage that he did. Look at the villager count in that early game. Meanwhile, LucifroN's just going to the moon.
Yeah, exactly. As you pointed out, immaculate unit micro really by LucifroN. He has been harassing left and right. He barely took any damage. His game plan was on spot as well, and DeMusliM just had to react to all of these at some point because he saw the second town center coming up. He had to start making his own, but everything was just a little behind. Like, essentially, LucifroN seemed to be always one step ahead compared to his opponent, and both players really with great unit micro, but ultimately, LucifroN had an edge that he didn't lose.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. Well, now we head through to game number 3, and this is going to be one of the most important games for these guys in the tournament. It is all coming down to this because, as we mentioned before, if you lose this game, you are going to be heading down, I mean, in points significantly, but not only that, but a direct rival of yours will be going ahead and continuing their run.